The show where anything goes. Motivation, mindset, recovery, philosophy, and life. We become who we are through what we experience. We all have a story, and this is My Backstory with Josh Boyer.
And boom, there it is. We're live. The My Backstory podcast with Chill Sergeant Luke.
Yes, sir. I mean, you just call me Luke. That's fine.
All right. Luke and Phil from Rhino Metals. So I'm extremely excited to be out here in Idaho, Boise, Idaho. I was out to dinner and I met these two guys and I was like, man, I would love to do a podcast with them. Super funny and super amazing.
And handsome too.
Totally. Your hair is like, you should be like a Vidal Sassoon model.
Go on. This is why I'm recording a video, because my voice does not sound like that at all.
I think it sounds pretty crisp.
Does it sound all right?
It's very fresh.
Thank you.
Very fresh.
So these guys are going to share their story, man. Each of them, I guess we can take turns. Whoever wants to go first. You can share your story if you want to go.
I'm so nervous.
Luke. How you guys get into Rhino Metals and, a little bit about your life, man.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I got into Rhino Metals. Basically, the CEO saw some of my videos on Instagram and stuff, and I was hanging out with this one dude that used to work there. He didn't work there anymore. And then he invited me to come and do a couple videos with him, like Black Rifle Coffee and stuff like that. And I liked what I did. And then the job that I was doing at the time, which is I was helping out with recruiting for the Army, and didn't love it. So he offered me that job, and then I came on and basically just started doing all the social media and stuff like that.
Nice, man.
Life's been a blessing ever since.
Absolutely.
Every day I think my lucky stars I have Chill Sergeant Luke in my life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can only imagine.
Yes.
It must be amazing for you.
And what about you?
So Phil here. I came over from Gemtech Silencers and Smith & Wesson, running all their marketing, and same previous person for Rhino Metals kind of poached me. He brought me on as the director of marketing, just with my kind of e-commerce back history, and I was able to work with Luke, and luckily we got rid of that guy, and it's been kind of awesome ever since.
It's freaking cool, man. I think, have you guys seen a shift since you guys kind of paired up with the marketing or the growth in Rhino Metals because of the marketing you guys are doing?
Absolutely, yeah. So Rhino Metals was founded about 25 years ago. It's actually a really cool story. So Don Suggs, the CEO, he's a former F4 and A-10 fighter pilot.
Yep.
And he started off actually doing kind of like refurbishing an old Japanese Zero here locally in Idaho. And so he started a company kind of restoring this plane. And about halfway through the process, the guy who was funding it was like, I have no more money. I can't do this anymore. And I mean, they just stopped production, right? And he had to hire 12 people, give or take, to help him restore this old Japanese Zero. And so he ended up having all this extra metal, and he was working on, doing rivets and all that stuff. And his father was like, hey, can you build me a safe? And so Don's like, all right, I've never built a safe before. I might as well just try it out. And he built the very first Rhino Metals safe for his father.
Super cool.
And that's kind of what kicked off the whole company. And so it's blossomed into what it is now.
It's pretty awesome, man.
Yes. A marketing powerhouse, if you will.
Yeah,
totally.
I think that's appropriate.
I think it's a great word.
Very appropriate.
So Luke, why don't you go into your story, like your backstory, if you will, about your life, where you grew up, kind of what got you to where you are today, man, and where you plan on going.
Yeah, make it quick so I can get to my story, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, so I was actually born in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
It's a country in Europe.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And then we moved to, my dad was Air Force, and I believe he did security forces.
Best branch out there.
Yeah. Awesome. I definitely should have joined the Air Force instead. But anyway, so we moved to California for a little bit, and then we moved back to England. And I lived in England, I think I told us about 12.
Yeah.
Then I moved to beautiful Mountain Home, Idaho.
Oh, wow.
Have you been there?
I've driven past there, I think, leaving Boise, going back to California.
Very quickly, I'm sure.
That sounds about
as
right.
fast as you can.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff to do there. Like, basically all we ever did was go hunting and fishing and shooting and spotlighting and stuff like that. So I graduated high school. Yep, I got a diploma. So.
You're one of the few out there, I'm sure.
Did you go to British schools while you were in England?
I did, yeah.
Primary school.
Primary.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they were called or anything, but yeah, we did.
Did you see a difference, like in the education when you got here? Like, did you have a leg up, I guess, if you will, on the kids that were here versus like when you came here? Like, were you like, I'm way smarter than these kids?
I think like on a maturity side, yeah, because they definitely had a lot more discipline
for sure
in England. But I wasn't always the best student, so it's probably not.
Did you have a hard time like going from Z to like Z to Z's?
I did, yeah.
Did you have an accent?
No, I did not. I mean, I could do it.
Go ahead, go for it.
Okay, I'll do it all day. I've got a few different ones. You got Josh here. Hello, Philip.
Very cockney.
More proper. Yeah, I can do a couple of them, But yeah, so then I graduated from Mountain Home and then joined the Army and then almost immediately was deployed to Baghdad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's in Iraq.
Dude, you're killing it with the geography today. I love it.
I know. Well, I'm pretty good.
Thank God, because I'd be lost right now.
Yeah. It's in between the Middle East.
In between.
Yeah, so it was kind of a unique deployment. Basically, they picked like 32 of us, and we got to go to a special school out in Virginia and one out in North Carolina. People could probably figure that out. Because I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we went to Baghdad, and basically, in a nutshell, we were supposed to protect certain people that went out into Baghdad to go talk to people,
right,
and make sure they didn't die.
Hearts and minds.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, so we protect them coming in and out. So we got to wear civilian clothes and grow our beards out and all that fun stuff, and we got to rock the HK416 fully auto. It was pretty cool.
That's neat.
It was
that's neat.
Really, really, really neat. Yeah. So after I got back from that deployment, I was like, maybe I'll just try college out. So I tried to go to Boise State, and about halfway through, the president at the time got rid of all the TA and all the funding and stuff. So I basically had to stop because I couldn't fund it myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, I guess I'll go back in the military. I really wanted to do like special forces and rangers and stuff like that. That's what I was training for. And then I was coming home from a movie, and I was there was a guy in front of me. He's driving. He breaks down. And so I pulled up and asked if he needed some help. And he was like, yeah, sure. So I jumped out and I start pushing his truck. And then I get absolutely smoked by a drunk driver.
Wow.
And classy lady. Super sweet.
Yeah, you got to go into detail of this story because I remember briefly the story, but I want to hear it again.
Yeah. So she was so drunk and high that after she hit me, she took me out at the legs, out of my calves. She hit me, then she hit the truck. She was so drunk and high that she got out and she walked to the hospital that was probably like a football field away or something. Right. And the cops actually had to go inside there and be like, hey, you just killed a dude and you're going to prison because you're obviously drunk. And she was like, no, I'm okay. I just got a little bump on the head. So she was pretty tuned up. Right. And then, so, I don't remember a ton. It was kind of like a dream after I got hit, and I just woke up to the cop giving me the sternum rub, and he was like, oh, dude, I thought you were dead. It's like, well, I guess not. Is the ambulance coming?
As it turns out.
Were you in pain? Like, were you like freaking out in pain, or were you like kind of in shock still?
No, I think I was in shock. I was kind of just like looking around and watching the pool of blood pool around me, and then was like, hey, this blood's getting in my mouth. Can we just get me out of here? Right. It was like 4 degrees outside, and finally the ambush showed up, and then I passed back out, woke back up, and they kept asking me like what happened, and I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I think it was a gang hit. And the cop was like, what? I was like, I'm pretty sure it was a gang hit. He's like, what gang are you in? I was like, time out. And then I passed back out. And I woke up in the MRI machine and didn't know where I was. So I sat up really hard and hit my head on the MRI machine.
Oh, shit.
These ladies, you can hear them. They're like, oh, shit. They pull me out and strap me back down.
Right.
And then so when I finally wake up in the hospital, and then there's like 4 cops and the chief of police in Meridian. Yeah. And he's like, hey, son, what gang are you in? My dad's like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, no, I wasn't in a gang. Like, it was a joke. Obviously not a very funny one. I thought it was funny.
But you don't remember saying it, or were you actively like, were you just being silly, like when you were telling him that?
No, I was just joking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were just out of it, like telling him you were in a gang. I was like, that's
even
fucking
when
hilarious.
He totaled a woman's car with his body, he's still a smart ass. Just saying, that's kind of Luke in a nutshell right there.
I love it.
In and out of consciousness.
Yeah. So I think it was in the hospital for, I think like a week and a half or something like that. You know, was it like had to like learn how to walk and stuff again. She broke, I think both my legs, tib fibs, snapped them right in half. She was driving a Chevy Cavalier.
Nice.
So
great automobile.
Great car.
Yeah, great car.
Great car. I mean, it hood up.
Pillar of American motor.
It stood up to my 230 pounds pretty well.
Okay.
But, hopefully she got some cash out of that.
Yeah.
Did she go to jail, bro?
She went to for 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
She
I don't know
out
if
now?
she did all of them or not, but
Good behavior probably got her out.
Probably.
She sounds like an outstanding citizen.
Yeah. She's really sweet.
Real sweetheart.
Real sweet. Yeah, she actually, I didn't go to the court because I couldn't walk. So she actually stood up in court and told the judge that it was my fault for
being a good Samaritan. You should have never been a good Samaritan and helped that guy.
For being in the road. And the judge was like, okay, cool. You're going to jail. You know, hit the gavel and she went to jail. But luckily she did have insurance, so I was able to pay for the bills. I think it was up to like 130 grand.
She did have insurance or did not?
She did.
Oh, okay.
She did. Yeah. But it was up to like 130 grand because I was in the ICU and everything else because I broke my scapula. I broke my head. And I had a really bad TBI, and
right.
Yeah. So it was really fun.
Didn't your nose get all jacked up too? Like
it did, yeah. I got kind of ripped off a little bit, and there was some scarring where it looked like I had the cleft lip for a little bit. And,
yeah.
They fixed that. Thank you.
Did they fix it though? But did they really?
Yes,
it's lucky you broke your head with your fall, because I mean,
no
could have been really bad if not.
Yeah, no. So they fixed that up pretty quick, and but yeah, she broke my scapula straight in half. So I remember just like going in rehab and just like being able to pull rubber bands, going from benching like 400 pounds to just doing little baby rubber bands.
Yeah,
you know, and then having some dude, like, "You're okay. You're okay.
You're so strong.
You're so strong."
Dude, how long did that recovery take to get back to where you felt like, quote unquote, air quotes, normal?
I probably jumped back in the saddle a little quick.
Yeah.
But
true form for most military guys.
For sure. Because I think I did rehab for about a year straight. I was on the couch for about 6 months, and that was pretty miserable. Like I was telling you earlier, like I had body dysmorphia. Like it was awful because I bought Lipozene off of the television show, and I remember just taking pills like that and throwing them right.
Is that when you say your lowest point was, Luke, when you were buying a commercial?
That was his rock bottom.
That was your rock bottom?
Yeah, I should have started Fit Tea or something, you know.
Or the wrap, was the wrap that they had, the it wrap or whatever, where you like wrap your body in this shit?
Or you put like the...
My wife bought it for me because I was like, does this shit work? I mean, I'll try anything twice, you know? So
yeah, absolutely.
I tried it, and I don't know if it worked or not, but whatever. I'll probably
it was
cancel later.
You had to put like that cream on that heated up your stomach, and then
no, it was like saran wrap that had like jelly stuff on it, I think.
Yeah.
And then you literally like wrap yourself around with it, and then you like leave it on. I want to say all night. I don't remember how you do it, but I think it's all night. And then you take it off, and then you wash yourself. But it's supposed to make you lose like copious amounts of weight, because I think I suffered a little bit myself with body dysmorphia, because you go from being this big strong person to, like, with me, yours was the accident, mine was my back surgeries, and now it's like I became kind of like depressed, lazy. My testosterone levels were probably extremely low because I'm not moving and I'm not doing much. And I was like, dude, how do I get it back? How do I get back? Yeah. So I was like trying anything. And I think I went down the hydroxycut route. I did the ITS route. I did Adderall. I mean, I tried that. Actually, that kind of worked though.
That could work. Yeah, I've never tried that. But yeah, it sucked because going from being a wrestler in high school, football player, and all that good stuff, and then being in the army, doing infantry stuff, and then just laying on the couch
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, this sucks.
Totally.
And then people come over and they're like, oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah.
Can I comb your hair? I used to have hair.
Did you really have hair? Dude, do you have pictures of your hair?
Yeah.
How long was it? Was it like long? I mean, you have relaxed grooming standards, you said. So was it like really long?
No, it wasn't that long.
Oh, okay.
I never got it.
Was it like Phil's?
No.
There's no way you're to have hair as beautiful as Phil.
Thank you.
I was always into chicks though. So.
A little different.
Yeah, my dad he definitely would have cut it for me. Yeah, no, that part kind of sucked. But since then I've been training, and ever since I met Phil, my training's gone up really, really well. And it's been pretty awesome, and I never thought it'd be like that again. Yeah, it is.
Were you married at the time when this all happened? Did you have kids?
No. In fact, I had just gotten her pregnant, maybe 2 weeks before that.
Dirty man.
I know, right?
Out of wedlock?
Yes, sir.
Oh, jeez.
Shotgun wedding.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Funny story. This might be a little bit much for your listeners, but
no, dude, go for it. Let it rip.
Yeah, when I was in Iraq, we got in a little accident, and my right testicle got a little smushed.
Yeah.
And then, so they flew me up to Blad, and they're just like, oh, dude, that kind of sucks. We can't do anything about it here. So when I got home, they got, because it was just constantly hurt. It was just like getting kicked in the nuts.
Yep.
Literally. And then they did surgery on it, and twice. And then the doc was like, yeah, dude, you'll probably never have kids. I was like, okay, cool. So
what they did, remove it?
They ended up having to remove part of it, not the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah. My man doesn't like the rubbers, guys, just so you know. My man don't mess with the rubbers.
I'm good.
Hey, babe, don't worry. I can't have kids. Don't worry. It's not big deal.
And she was like, I ain't being no baby mama. But she was.
But she do.
Yeah, so she's like, I'm pregnant. I was like, no, you're
But
not.
she do.
But she do. So she's like, I'm pregnant. I was like, no, you're not. And I was like, not by me. And she's going to love that.
Luke's kids look exactly like him, by the way.
Actually, I think I saw pictures the last time I saw you, dude. I'm like, dude, there's no denying that.
Oh, yeah.
None.
They're 100. That's kind of what I was going for. Man, kids was like, they better look like me.
Exactly like me.
Or
blonde hair, blue eyes. Like, what are you trying to get at here, guys? I'm just saying.
I don't want to say master.
Smash.
But yeah, no, she was like, I think because when they first contacted her, they were like, oh, hey, yeah, your baby, soon to be baby daddy he's dead. He's going to die tonight.
Oh, wow.
They all because they didn't know.
Right.
And so they all just rushed there. And then my whole family was there. And I remember doing the scene from Talladega Nights when my brothers walked in. I was like, you're coming in all fat and cocky with your 2 legs. And they were like, dude, you'll be able to walk. And I was like, don't you lie to me.
Don't you do it?
Doctors did not think I was funny.
Right.
At all. Mm-hmm. Some of the nurses did. The nurses were a little interesting. Because there was one night I'm getting the sponge bath, right? Because I can't move. I can't move anything. I'm getting the sponge bath, and there's 4 nurses doing the sponge bath. I thought that was standard operating procedure.
Has your wife heard the story?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, maybe.
Lindsay, turn it off.
Mute. Earmuffs.
So then I thought this was standard operating procedures when the 4 chicks are working on me, and the head nurse comes by and she's like, what's going on? Why is it taking more than one of you nurses to wash him? And they all just put their heads down.
They just scamper off.
Just
it's like cockroach. The light turns on, they just disappear.
Yeah, so the head nurse is
hilarious.
they're usually not used to working with such younger dudes. It's usually just old dudes.
Big, strong,
A
massive
man of your girth.
Just a bunch of man meat going on in there. So.
Sheer girth is amazing.
So that was pretty funny, but yeah, the doctors didn't think I was very
sure it was a good time for you.
Well, I mean, I had a catheter in though.
That is a humbling experience for every man.
Oh man,
catheter does not fully represent who you are as a male.
It really doesn't, and I had to remind them that.
This isn't really what it looks like, ladies. It's really not what it looks like. I'm telling you.
I don't know if you're how much your story we can talk about.
You can talk about anything that you're comfortable talking about.
Fantastic.
Go for it.
You're comfortable talking.
No, I'm just saying,
life.
Luke has a baby dick to begin with, and so the catheter's going to really just shorten that up.
That's not true.
Just truncate that pee-pee.
It's funny. My buddy was giving me the story about his vasectomy. Every guy has a vasectomy story, right? And he's like, and every time you go in for these vasectomies, somehow, some way, they have an assistant that's going to be there that day. And what do you know? Blonde hair, maybe, a little nice breast, endowed, if you will. Voluptuous, yes. And do you mind if the assistant comes in here and just, checks for the vas difference and whatever? And it's like, and of course it's 30 degrees or whatever in the room. And it's like,
it's like one more the one last humiliation you suffer before having your manhood taken from you. It's like, let this Swedish supermodel come here and fondle your junk, and then it's all gone.
Seriously,
it's like,
is this a dick? Are we working on a dick today?
Would you say this is an innie or an outie? I'm just confused.
What is this?
Oh, that's cute. It's cute. What do you want me to say? It's cute.
Dollhouse size.
So how long were you in the hospital before you were able to check out?
I want to say it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Wow.
I don't remember a ton of it. I was kind of in and out of consciousness the whole time from the TBI. I remember our sergeant major came in, and obviously my mom didn't leave my side the whole time, but sergeant major came in and was like, "Whoa, I hope you get back to work soon." Mom's like, "He's not going anywhere. He's dying,
Mr. Man."
Yeah. So it was fun. I remember my first line leader was in there, and one time when I woke up, and he wasn't like the most talkative dude,
right?
And he was like, "You okay?" "Yeah, Staff Sergeant, I'm good." I was like, my back kind of hurts a little bit. He was like, "Oh, you drink some more water."
Yeah, take a knee, drink some water.
Here's some Motrin. Here's some water, Motrin. You'll be all right.
He's like, and then sees all the random pills and stuff. He's like, Can I have some of these?" I don't know, dude.
I don't
Take whatever you want. I don't give a shit.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, because what was it? I think it's called fentanyl.
Fentanyl, yeah.
Fentanyl. They hit with that the first time.
Yeah,
and that was probably worse than getting hit with the car.
No, it's like getting punched right in the face.
It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I looked at her. I was like, "I don't want to do that again. Please and thank you."
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, you're in pain." I was like, "I got that. I'm here.
I get that part of it." Yeah.
So I hated that. That stuff was rough.
Yeah.
You feel like you pee yourself.
Oh yeah, no, it's terrible. Awful. So I was a little bit of my story was I was taking the fentanyl patch, which was like a 3-day deal. Ooh. So we get the patch on, and then you go to these pain management doctors, and you tell them like, "Oh, are you still in pain?" "Well, yeah, I got some pain. Yeah, a little bit. Scale 1 to 10, maybe a 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on the day." "Well, just take these Oxycontins on top of the patch that you're taking."
Damn.
So the next thing you know, you're going down this road of fentanyl, Oxycontin, morphine, sulfate, this, that. "Well, doc, I can't sleep. I'm so uncomfortable." "Well, take these Ambien at night. You'll be good. You take the Ambien, you'd be good to go." "Well, when I get up in the morning, I'm really groggy after taking all these drugs." "Well, take an Adderall. The Adderall will get you up. It'll spike you up so you can get through the day."
God bless America.
Yeah, so by the end of the day, man, I'm on this cocktail, dude, of drugs, straight roller coaster. And coming down off that shit was
that should be a felony.
When's the last time you pooped when you were on all that stuff?
Dude, I'm just gonna throw it out there, TMI guys, but whatever.
We're here.
Yeah,
family. Free of trust.
Right.
I want to talk about poop from now on.
When you're on all those opiates, you just cannot shit because you're stopped up. It shuts everything down. So I was giving myself enemas because you're so stopped up that you just can't go. Yeah. And that's the reality that a lot of people don't talk about when you're taking all those pain pills. Dude, you won't shit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, how many?
Luke went to some pretty drastic resorts to get himself to poop.
Let's hear it.
What?
I don't know, just army buddies coming in.
Finger with this.
How many enemas did you have to do before you stopped liking it?
I felt so clean after. I was like, I like that.
It's actually kind of nice. It's a little aggressive at first, but then
yeah, you get used to it.
Right out.
Yeah, used to it. Putting some extra lube on it is all right.
Yeah.
You can't use the frigid tip. You got to go with the soft tip. It's a little bit better. Just in case you ever get.
Yeah. I like a nice steak dinner first. You know what I mean? It's a good super Tuscan to kind of loosen things up a little bit. Fuck it, we'll do it during. We'll do it during.
For everybody.
That's what the people want to hear. That's what they're here for.
Thank you, Phil. So it took me about a year or something to be, working out and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything good. It wasn't impressive. And then I'm sure you're familiar with attack Bs, right? With the Air Force. Yeah. Yep. So I went out and tried one of those, or tried out, like you have to like try out with the 124th. And so I tried out with those guys. And then I didn't realize that, like in the Air Force, you can actually see your medical records.
Yeah.
So I went to go like do the oral or whatever. He's like, what is all this? It's like, it's fake. It's not, I don't know what that is. And then so
that was the end of that, huh?
Yeah, they nixed that pretty quick. But yeah, so I'm still with the Idaho National Guard. And then I tried to do recruiting with them. And then I ended up not really liking it. And then, some of your buddies that are recruiters that you thought you were buddies are not.
Right.
And it's pretty ruthless, and it just really wasn't my style. I couldn't really like lie to these kids. And they say nowadays like, oh, we don't lie to kids. And it's like, yeah, you do. Yeah. I just like a week ago, they just promised this one chick like an aviation spot, and she scored like a 12 on her ASVAB. Like, you nailed it.
You can't even get in with a 12.
Right? You'll be all right.
I think like a 40 is like the minimum to even get in. Probably the Army. I think the Army is the lowest, actually.
Army is pretty low.
It's 50 across the board now.
Is it 50?
Yeah, across the board. They changed a couple of years ago.
Oh, so Air Force isn't any different than the other branches?
It might be, but it
used to be like you had to have a higher score to get into the Air Force versus any other branch.
It makes sense, yeah.
But whatever. Anyway.
I feel like you're like the poster child though, as like a recruiter though. Like if I was,
it was a lot of it
in the Army, I'd be like this guy. For those who cannot see Luke, go check out Chill Sergeant Luke on Instagram. And it's just like he is like
he's a specimen.
He's a specimen. And like it's like these kids want to be you.
And I think that was one of the main reasons that I got the job.
Obviously, you can't speak for shit, but like you just
can't spell.
You can't. That's not a prerequisite.
You don't have to worry about.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that part. Somebody else takes care of the admin.
Yeah.
Some nerd,
Totally. Yeah. Pencil pusher.
Some Air Force guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a friend. But no, and then so then that's when I started doing the stuff with Rhino. And then the CEO was like, hey, you do really well on camera and you're kind of funny, I guess. And then
after your audition, you did really well.
Yeah. So that's when he brought me on
full
time to start helping out with that.
Super cool.
Yeah.
How much of the do you think that mindset played into your recovery? Like going through that whole process? Like were you on like a shit ton of like opiates and pain pills and all that other stuff?
I was and I wasn't. It wasn't anything crazy like the oxys or whatever.
Right.
They might be the same thing with a Percocet and Oxy. I don't know if they're different brands or different names.
And there's OxyContin. Yeah, it's a little different.
Okay. So I think it was on Percocets.
Right.
But yeah, I remember coming off of those and having like, little anxiety and stuff. And then the doc was like, you'll be fine. Just drink water. I was like, okay, cool. And then, so that really wasn't that difficult. It was more difficult explaining it to the military.
Right.
Because they had some like crazy laws and they ended up getting in trouble for HIPAA violations for asking people like why they were on these things.
Right.
But no, it wasn't bad. I think, definitely the military helps you out with, getting through bad shit. And I think that helped out a lot. It was like a lot of days I'm just like, God, dude, why are you being such a pussy? Yeah. That's mainly what it was when I was, when I was going through that body dysmorphia and all that good stuff and trying to flop my lifeless body onto the ground to do sit-ups when I wasn't supposed to be moving just because I felt terrible, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm such a fat piece of shit and I deserve to die young. And
no, stop it. Don't talk that way.
But then after a week maybe or whatever, I was like, dude, you're being a pussy. Like, stop.
Right.
Like you're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, so a lot of what I get through things is just by berating myself.
You just watch a lot of Hallmark movies and just
watch The Notebook and you just got fired up and away you went.
Great movie.
Excellent movie.
Yeah, great movie.
But did you do you think like your mindset when you like got in that accident, did you like go into the hospital and you're like, dude, I'm going to recover. Like this is not gonna be the end of me. I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I could have anything could happen and I'll be like, dude, I'm fine.
Right.
Even if I had lost both of my legs or whatever.
What do you think that comes from? That mindset? You think it comes from your dad?
Definitely. Definitely my parents for sure. And my dad was still is a pretty tough dude. And he's been through a lot and he definitely didn't let us grow up being pussies. And He wouldn't say pussy, but he's gonna like that. But yeah, no, definitely my parents and partly the military.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Takes a special person, man, to be able to get through like shit like that and be and to come out on top of it and be like, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good, and I'm still training. I saw your videos online the other day, like squatting like 400 and something stupid pounds, and I was like,
yes, I'm incredibly strong.
I was like, that ass dough. Jeez.
Dude, I think you got some cakes. Homie's got some cakes on him.
Bro,
I wear those short shorts on purpose.
Oh, bro, Days of Dukes of Freedom is what I like to call it.
I love it.
Yeah, yesterday we showed up for breakfast. We had the pig cookout or whatever, and then Sunday morning everyone was up making breakfast, so I showed up in my Harley boots and my Days of Dukes of Freedom on.
Yes.
That was it.
Hell yeah.
It's like, dude, are you kidding me? Are you really wearing this right now? Yes, I am, totally.
That's fucking amazing.
Because why? Because America, that's why.
That's right.
That's right.
What you needed.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
I definitely think I have one of those personalities where I can just get over things, because it's like, if you think about it for a little while, like, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
You know, like I could sit here and cry about it all day, but that's not going to help anything or help anybody else.
Well, nobody's going to make your life better but you, right? Like, you're not.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's going to come in here and just like.
And I don't want
your
anybody to hold
mindset.
my hand. So
Exactly.
I think it'll be fine.
For sure.
You like to hold your hand for fun.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
like you don't want to be forced.
100%.
Like we hold hands all the time. It's just,
Yes.
it's cool.
So did you I'm gonna lose my train of thought because fucking Phil's killing me, dude. I love it, dude.
Just staring into my eyes.
This is gay shit, man.
Dude, we'll do eye to eye.
Yeah.
Both of you guys have lovely eyes, by the way. I just have to say it out loud.
Thank you.
Both have lovely eyes.
It's the heritage, bro.
That's true.
It
It's
is.
the heritage.
It's
It
accurate.
is that.
We got the eyes, you got the hair, dude. You can't have it
there you
all,
go.
Phil. You can't have it all.
You're selfish.
I have beautiful eyes too.
What was the goal when you were going through all that shit? Like, what did you tell yourself? Like, I want to get back to this, or I want to recover to this, or like, because some people are like, I just want to be able to walk again. Some people are like, I just want to be able to whatever. Did you want to get to a full recovery to where you were exactly where you were before that accident?
Yeah. I definitely wanted to be able to squat and bench and do, because I grew up bodybuilding, stuff like that. And I definitely wanted to get back to, squatting a certain amount of weight or deadlifting a certain amount of weight. And I'm pretty sure the doctors told me that it wouldn't happen.
Right.
And it did. They weren't American.
They don't know shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
America.
They have a funny way of doing that, though.
Right.
You know,
Reverse psychology. Reverse psychiatry.
Psychiatry. Yes.
Okay, that's the one.
No, I mean just being wrong about.
Just being wrong. Yeah. But no, yeah, I remember when I was getting I can't remember how many staples I had in my head, but they were pulling them out, and he was like, yeah, you should really take up water aerobics. I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm
Finger
into.
yoga.
I was like, water aerobics.
Totally never gonna do that.
Yeah, and he's like, you won't be in the military again. It's like, cool. Dope. And then I did it anyway. So.
Yeah, for sure. Doctors are weird, man. They're so good at like putting limitations on people.
Absolutely.
And I had this conversation with Tina Hurley yesterday on the podcast. She's an adaptive athlete. And we were talking about even not just the doctors, but like the disability companies that you deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like they want to get you off their payroll. They don't want to pay you. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, you're squatting. You must not be disabled. You know what I mean? But they don't see the other 24 hours in the day or whatever. You're working out for the other 22 hours. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's like stretching. I'm icing my back. I'm taking a nap. I'm doing whatever to like make myself like functional.
Yes.
And no one ever talks about that. It's like, whatever. And it's like, it's a big stressor in people's lives, that have like these traumatic injuries because you want to come back. Like for me, it's like, I didn't want to just sit on the couch because I was in the same boat where it's like, I'm sitting on the couch, getting fat, getting lazy and depressed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, I have to do something. I have to keep moving. And then I would have like the disability companies. One of the attorneys like called me and was like, oh, don't post anything on Instagram. Oh, don't make it public. Oh no, don't do that.
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen like people with like no leg, like 2 prosthetics, like climbing Mount Everest.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're telling me they're not disabled? Like, come on.
He's like, don't worry about that, dude.
Well, it's like, they don't understand, like, you have good days and you have bad days, right?
Right. Totally.
And it's just, and to them, like, they don't understand what that really is, like, what weight is.
Right.
Like, they see you lifting, like, 100 pounds sounds like a lot of weight to a lot of people.
Oh,
I know, Mr. Strongman over here. But, like, it's so funny that people just have these, like, preconceived notions and they just let that influence. And, like, and this, to me, it's all about, like, they're looking for, like, a paycheck, right? Or looking how to, like, cancel you off.
Oh, for sure.
And they don't care about,
line.
like, what it's like, mentally, what it's, the human element.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of my like back surgeries because I've had 6. A lot of them were because I was being rushed back to work, And I was, part of that was just the manliness in me being like, kind of like Luke, where it's like, no, I'm not going to just sit around. I got to get to work, support my family. But I was doing myself and my family a disservice by rushing into it. And a lot of that was the disability companies like telling me like, oh, you're not disabled because you're hiking, or you're not disabled because you're doing this. I'm like, why am I disabled? Well, shit, I better go back to work.
Well, let's look at like their body of work, right? What they're used to dealing with is very different than, say, the three of us here, right?
Right.
So it's very, very different. Like, and what has been established as disability, like there are people who have the ability to be more like physical and be in better shape, and they don't allow themselves to.
Right.
That's just real talk.
And there's a lot of people like that cheat the system a little bit, I think, too. You know, and they see that day in and day out.
Day in and day out. Yeah.
So why don't you share your story, Phil?
Ooh, okay. I mean, I guess 2.5 hours into this podcast, I guess I'll finally get to talk.
You're welcome.
And then I drank like a fifth of whiskey by now. Just when you guys drink your little pink cocktails.
Good, cool brag.
Yeah, it's a little brag.
I drink so much
it's
whiskey, dude.
Humble brag. It's good whiskey too. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually pretty expensive, but yeah, no, I'm a little bit different than Luke, I guess, in the sense like the things like I do strength competitions, so I actually use my strength. For me, like personally, I've raised kind of like just middle class America, playing sports, doing all the fun stuff that kids do. Being a pretty weak guy, honestly, like just not working out, not really understanding that side of things, playing soccer and things like that. And it really wasn't until I became older that I was pretty confident in my abilities as an athlete. And that's kind of where I started really focusing my efforts in the gym, and tore my ACL at 19 playing soccer, playing Premier League.
Oh, ouch.
I know, right? I know. And I was like 160 pounds, which is kind of a smaller guy.
Right.
And so for me, being competitive has always been like a big part of who I am.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, I'm a very obsessive person in everything that I do. So everything that I'm interested in, I have to be the best at it. So if it's drinking alcohol, I'll be the best, Luke.
Your watch collection, your whiskey collection.
Yeah. I mean, just all those things.
Skinny jeans.
I'm very good at wearing skinny jeans.
Really good.
So really, like I was playing Premier League here in Boise, Idaho, which is really nothing to brag about. But like I was trying, I had a tryout for Real Salt Lake in Utah, tore my ACL, and that kind of like put me on a whole new path. And that's when I first started working out for the first time. Right, that was like my discovery of the gym and trying to rehab the knee. Found out that was very difficult to rehab a knee from ACL surgery, especially never lifting weights in my life. So I started focusing on kind of holistic training, and started lifting weights. Really enjoyed it. Kind of got up to like 185 pounds. Was like, this is amazing. I had so much self-confidence in working out, and just started this whole new obsession and passion in my life. And it really gave me confidence. And that confidence went beyond just the gym, right? It went to like everything I did, like my career, my home life with my wife. I just felt better about me as a person. And I saw the effects that really lifting weights, or just any kind of, just improving your health, what that brought on. And then I discovered the Highland Games, Scottish Highland Games. My wife's family is all Scottish. We would go to these events. We'd watch these heavy, weights being thrown by these big dudes wearing kilts and drinking whiskey. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I need to find something to stay active in and be an athlete in. And that's kind of how I started as a Scottish Highland Games athlete.
It's a trip.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, actually. It's funny. These are guys that are throwing like stones and weights and cabers, like the big telephone poles.
Yeah.
Completely different than what I've ever been used to as like a team sports guy. Like soccer, more of like a finesse sport, right?
Yep.
I've never thrown a shot put, and this is basically what you're doing. Like it's all track and field stuff, but with like old school implements that were from 1,000 years ago. And so I started doing that, became obsessed. First game of the year as a lightweight, which is 200 pounds and under, I was like, I'm going to kill it. I think I'm going to destroy these guys. I took 11th out of 16 guys, and I was like completely gutted. Never going to do that again. I was like, I promise anytime I compete, I will never take 11th place again in the sport. And I just started this whole mindset and became like even more obsessive about how do I get better? How do I keep training? Come back from a knee injury. ACLs are pretty invasive, but like they're not like you can come back from that, but you'll never be 100% from what I've been told. And so I was like, couldn't compute. Like I have to be 100% to be a top tier athlete. And so I just kept pushing towards that. And I just, throw all the time and then trying to balance that with like school and a career and all that. And, fortunate enough to work my way up to being like number 1 ranked athlete in the world as a lightweight in the Scottish Highland Games. This
so
story,
small feat, man.
It's okay. I appreciate
number 1 in the world.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Don't worry about that part.
Yeah. And like, so the year, like when I finally got my number 1 ranking, I remember I just won my first national championship. I took second at the world championship.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, I will win this world championship. Like I'm right there. I've competed a few times in world championships and I went from like 7th to 5th to number 2. And I was like, I'm coming back the next year, came back even stronger, working my ass off, was setting world records. And then a week before the national championship, I tore my other ACL, my other leg. And that was completely devastating. And that's when kind of like the mindset that what Luke was talking about really hit me was like, okay, what do you do with this? Do you come back stronger? Like I was at the top of my game. I felt like I was going to win. How do I come back from like a knee injury? A lot of guys come back from it, but it's like to come back to the same degree, especially when you're working in a sport where you're exploding off of one side of your body so much. And it's an 8-hour long sport. And so I kept working towards that goal. Within 3 months of having surgery, I was pretty much cleared 100% to compete again.
Right.
Typically, they say it takes about 6 months for like the actual graft to fuse to your bone. So like,
I thought it was like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, but like at 3 months, I was already back to like everything I could do beforehand. I was there again, and I just pushed myself really, really hard, and came back the next year and won the world championship.
It's awesome.
And all that. And so that was like that was a turning point for me mentally too, as far as like, okay, what can I accomplish? What can I actually do as like an athlete? And just as a person, like mentally, like these are the things that people get down on. Like they feel like, hey, I can never do something, or if like some setback and like I'm done for the rest of my life. And this was something for me that was just a huge block that I was able to clear because of that. So
totally.
Yeah, and I try to apply that mentality to everything that I do. Like, okay, like no matter what setbacks I get, I can overcome them. I can achieve more, and so I just continually work hard for it.
Did you know that you were always going to get into to marketing?
Marketing, no. I mean, that's the funny thing. Like, I went to Boise State here I actually went twice when I first got out of school. And I didn't really know. I went to a small school, high school here in Idaho, which kind of the same thing. Luke, I give Luke a lot of shit about being from Mountain Home, but I went to Emmett High School, which is a very, very rural, and there's no emphasis on like trying to like grow beyond that. They even said like the teachers like you're gonna be farmers, so there's the basic amount of math you need to go on with your life. And as I came out of high school, my dad really pushed me to go to college, and then I went for a semester, and that was like the end of it. He didn't really say anything more. He's like, you went, and then I just kind of dropped off. My mom moved out of my house when I was like 19. It was basically, hey, this is yours now. Like, it wasn't even like we were renting like a townhouse, and she's like, hey, this is yours now. Like, I'm moving out, so you have to pay for rent here. I was like, cool, okay. Like, I guess that's what I'm doing. So I just dropped out of school, worked on 3 jobs, had like 5 of my friends move in just to help pay the rent and all that stuff. And school wasn't really for me at the time. And I was happy just being complacent. And luckily I met my wife, and she told me that's not going to be the case if like we're going to be together. And so she really pushed me back to going to school, and I went back to school and fell in love with college and higher education, I guess. And had a general business degree, that and emphasis in marketing, which came on later on in my college years, and just fell in love with it. Had a passion for it.
That's awesome, man. So how did Rhino Metals come about?
Rhino, it's funny. So out of college, I was working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which
Evil Empire.
Exactly, yeah. They prey on those young kids. They get them young, and they work their asses off, and then usually are like not left much else after that. You're just kind of a shell of a human being.
And you have to have a degree, right, to work there?
You do, yeah.
Working towards one, yeah.
Or working, yeah, I was working towards one.
Right.
And then as soon as I graduated, they're like, okay, cool. Like, we're going to give you your own location and you're going to like manage it and all that. And I was like, I hate my life. I don't want to do this anymore. I went to bodybuilding.com, which is a supplement company, right?
Yep.
And big old e-commerce. And I started off, I went to customer service, like my paycheck got cut in half to go there, right?
Yep.
And I knew I wanted to be there. I knew I wanted to be in the fitness realm. I loved obviously working out and had a passion for it because I just discovered it really. And I went from, in customer service and worked my way up to marketing, which is pretty difficult, I guess. And just fell in love with marketing as a whole, like e-commerce, Google advertising, all that stuff. It was just like all this was so new. And so I worked really hard to earn my spot. And then really what happened, this is kind of like a little bit of a segue into it. This story is not as exciting as Luke's, being sponge bathed by like 5 different nurses.
Yeah, I'm not falling asleep.
They're all guys, by the way. So like,
you didn't mention that.
You didn't mention the sexual nature of it, but it was all dudes, but whatever.
They were handsome.
They were handsome. I'm sure. Oh, I bet. You're a handsome guy too.
Really
So
strong
it happens.
hands.
So I end up working at Gemtech Silencers. We got my HVAC system just kicked on hardcore in the house, so I apologize if you guys are hearing some stuff in the background. And Gemtech Silencers kind of segued into Rhino Metals. At bodybuilding.com, the previous chief marketing officer worked there with me, and he's the one who kind of poached me for Rhino Metals from Gemtech. So it was a very interesting kind of segue into Rhino, but they needed a director of marketing, somebody who knew the e-commerce side of things, somebody who had this holistic marketing approach, like emails, affiliates, Google ads, Facebook dynamic ads, all of that. So that was kind of where I came in, and thankfully he got himself fired.
You got fired, bro?
No,
No.
yeah.
Well, I did too.
He got fired, but the chief marketing officer got fired for being drunk and shooting a gun off in the middle of downtown Caldwell.
Was it on his day off?
No, it was on Instagram Live. It was.
Hey, you only got fired on your day off.
He got fired.
Ain't got no job.
Yeah, that's kind of a whole can of worms right there.
That's kind of a fun story too.
Yeah, he fired Luke. He got fired. Then we brought Luke back.
Yeah, he
Luke showed
fired.
them.
I got fired for being on hardcore black tar heroin and being dishonorably discharged from the military. Both of which did not happen.
Did not happen.
That's hilarious.
But he went to the he's a horrible human being, but he went to the CEO and just told him all this crazy stuff, and then the CEO was like, well, it's kind of up to you, man. And he brings me in one day morning, and he tells me something completely different, like they didn't have funding
Oh, wow.
for like me to be there. So he's like, hey dude, I gotta fire you. Cool. And then he's like, great, now I get to go back to recruiting or something. And then literally I think it was about 2 weeks later he got fired for shooting it off, and he was hammered drunk in the middle of the day and went on Instagram Live on our Rhino page.
Oh, wow.
And shot the round off, almost shot him in the head because he thought he unloaded his revolver, but he didn't. And I slipped a round off, and then he got fired. And the next day he lied to the CEO, and then the CEO was like, I wonder what else he lied about.
Right.
So he called me and was like, hey dude.
Could have lied about that black tar heroin, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, the thing is about black tar heroin is like shitty heroin. Like
I'm not,
dude. If I was gonna
versed
do
in the heroin world,
if I was gonna do heroin, it'd be like Peruvian or something.
Yeah,
Peruvian heroin, Afghan heroin definitely would be the heroin I would do if I was ever.
It would be high class.
Luke's a bit of a diva, guys. Like
I don't want to brag.
A heroin connoisseur.
Yeah.
But so he called me and he was like, hey dude, I'm like really embarrassed. I'm sorry that this happened. Can we come talk? Because I had it was also the same weekend we had set up this this TACP foundation because they kept losing TACPs overseas, so we started this basically like a raffle giveaway. We raffled off one of our safes, and all the TACPs from Boise came in and from all over, and I was the one that actually helped that kind of set up. So I came out and they offered me my job back that same day.
Super cool.
Yeah,
You've been there ever since.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
How happy were you, Phil?
Was that?
How happy were you?
Oh, I was ecstatic. It was amazing. So like, I really prolonged joining the Rhino Metals team. I really loved what the company was doing and where it was going, the direction it was taking. I just wasn't a fan of the marketing that was going on prior to that, right? Like I felt like, and really Luke was what kind of attracted me to the job because A,
handsome,
done.
Right. Game over.
Yeah. B, those eyes. Come on.
Absolutely.
Dreamy.
Thank you.
C, the company, it has such a great message, being, American made safes, handcrafted, hand built. It was phenomenal craftsmanship. They looked stunning. They kind of sold themselves. I knew it was like sitting on kind of a gold mine because the company was in this weird stage where they were just kind of growing and coming to themselves, and people were starting to recognize what they were accomplishing. And Rhino Metals at the time was kind of down the line a little bit as far as sales go.
Yep.
And this previous guy, he had done some really kind of just, I think, tacky marketing. Like he was, he's kind of exploiting, say,
veterans. 100%.
And when I saw Luke for the first time, I actually laughed. I was like laughing, not at Luke, but like the humor Luke had. Like, I was like, man, this guy's actually funny. He's good on camera. I was like, okay, he is actually he was a really good part of it because he's a very genuine guy. And he's just a really funny guy naturally. And I was like, okay, we have something to work with here. And this other guy was like, I don't know if I can do it with him, but Luke would be awesome. I get in there and like within a week, Luke's gone. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. And then once, he decided to he touched one off in the middle of a parking lot. That was it for him. Almost in for me too, believe it or not. And we were able to rebound, and now we've been able to build something really great. And I think the company really stands for something now, and like we have a good vision of where we're going, and obviously the right people in place to make it happen.
It seems like you guys have a fuck ton of fun too, which is really cool. I think that's part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're a good team.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We like to be ourselves, and we like to.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's a big company, and like there's just two of us really doing it. We have, we wear a lot of hats, and so it's what people see is kind of sometimes different than what's on the back end, right? Because we have our hands in somebody's stuff, and like it's just we try to make it feel like a family, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is like when you buy from Rhino Metals, you're really buying into a family. Like we're a part of it. We're in touch with you. We talk to guys all the time. Like people have on our saves. Like you can reach out to us anytime and we're going to respond back to you. And we're going to work with you, and we stand behind our products, and people really feel connected to the brand. And that's kind of like a big part of what we're trying to push. It's like we're not just some big conglomerate out there selling safes. Like when you buy a Rhino Metals safe, you're buying something that is unique. It's something that has had a lot of thought and hard work put into it, and you're buying from a veteran-owned company.
Yeah.
Those are all things that are really important to us.
It's awesome, man. I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions each. I'm sorry I keep clearing my throat. It's so annoying when you're doing a podcast, and like it seems like every time I do one, I always have to clear my throat. Like, I'm like,
blame it on the allergies. Okay, we're in Idaho, so it could be really bad allergies.
Could be.
Yeah. Is this speed round though? Like first, like word association. Black tar heroin. I'm loving it.
So if you had Luke, if you had one person or one book that inspired you the most your entire life, what would that person or what would that book be, or who would that person be and why? And it could be both. It could be multiples, whatever. What would it be?
Okay. I would say for the book, I'm assuming everybody's read Unbroken.
Yep.
Yeah. They turned it into a movie, kind of ruined it, but the book's way better.
Bastardized it.
Yeah, for sure. My dad is one for sure. He's definitely inspired me to do a lot of things and, push to be better. This is going to sound really lame, but Phil is another one of them. I probably
open mouth.
How much did you pay him for that, dude? How much did you pay him?
I was gonna say, if you're not saying Oprah Winfrey, you are kidding yourself and everybody listening.
Ellen DeGeneres. No, Phil has helped a lot. He's taught me a lot about marketing because obviously I didn't know anything besides being handsome and funny on camera. And so I'm learning like that. And he's helped me out with the gym quite a bit. And he's just been an awesome dude. And
it's awesome.
Yeah.
If you had one lesson that you could teach somebody that you wish someone would have taught you when you were coming up and you didn't have to go through a heartache, what would that lesson be that you could teach somebody to kind of avoid some of that?
That's a good one. One, I would definitely tell people to look at their contract before they join the military. Yeah, and, always know, try to find as much information as you can before you dive in. And one thing for me is I don't like to. I don't make a lot of my decisions with based on emotions, and I feel like that can clouds a lot of people, and it might put a lot of people off about me because when they tell me stuff, I'm just like, oh, it's different. Maybe thought about doing it this way, and then,
Right.
But other than that, there's probably a few stories that I could probably tell, but they're not appropriate right now. I would say definitely if you're going to get married, I would definitely say
Prenup rules.
Prenup. Get the hashtag prenup.
We are not going in that direction. I apologize.
Now that you mentioned it, definitely know who you're doing. I would date as long as you can, and then if you're gonna marry somebody, I would be probably have to cut this part out.
Hey,
it's all good, dude. I mean, I can edit it out if you want me to, but I think it is.
Don't edit it. It's just real. This is raw human emotion. Guys, he's crying right now. It's beautiful.
No, I think it's a real thing though, honestly, because I think a lot of guys go through it where you jump through, especially military guys. You're going for the BAH, or going for the BAS, whatever. It's like, and then you marry somebody that you're not necessarily in love with, that doesn't really support you 100%, and then next thing you know, it's like divorce, and if you have kids together, it's even worse. And it's just not fun.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Is like a lot of dudes don't mature until they're 25.
Right.
So definitely something you want to think about and
take your time.
A little bit more mature before you jump into anything like that, but.
Yeah, and if we cut this part out, don't worry. He's going to definitely cut out my entire section. So.
No, that's fine. No, it was really interesting.
I was raised by wolves.
You're being hard on
I should have segued into that.
You definitely should have told him about your drug dealing.
I shouldn't have.
So way more interesting.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Right.
Damn it.
You just like glassed over it.
Yeah.
Hey, buy Rhino Metals. Buy Rhino Metals.
So what about you, Phil? If you had one person or one book that inspired you the most your entire life, what would that book be, or who would that person be, and why?
Okay, so I don't read, so
Harry Potter.
Oh,
I don't believe that. You don't read, really?
I do read a little bit.
I would say, dude, you seem like a very highly intelligent guy.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so to say that you don't read, I'm like, yeah, right, you're lying.
I do enjoy. Actually, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, which is funny.
Right.
I love, I feel like you can learn so much. I'm very much I love watching the video form of things. It just helps me just really focus on it. So I end up doing that. I just kind of just teach myself.
Yeah.
Visual
YouTube.
learner.
Yeah. Very, very visual. Honestly, people are more impactful to me. I have such a good experience. I glean so much information off of people, and I try to find mentors. That's something that I really strive to do. Just people who have done what I'm trying to do, and just learn everything I can from them. It's just that firsthand experience. And so people like my former boss, Ron Martinez, actually, he was the CEO of Gym Tech. A very interesting guy. He is out there, but I mean, he has done some amazing things, and he's built himself up from nothing. So he's a guy that I really try to learn a lot from. My dad, he's another guy that has been, it's his whole life has been about his career and trying to do better by his family. And it's kind of as hot and cold. There's a lot of negative connotations. Somebody who's such a businessman, he doesn't have time for a family, but I respect him a tremendous amount. And I think he's really shown me what it's like to work hard and try to achieve something.
Yeah.
Conversely, Luke,
What?
I know.
You give me the case of the vapors.
Wow.
I know. Actually, it's funny, but
Vapors.
Luke he's really been a good friend, and we've worked really well together, and I think that kind of shows. And I promised myself I wouldn't cry. But yeah, it's just kind of funny how that all works. It's you find people that just make you a better person, and I think that's really important. There's a lot of aspects of myself that I wish I was better at, and I try to find people that are, good at those things, and
For sure.
and I find a lot of respect in those guys. So
Good stuff. And if you had one lesson that you could teach somebody else coming up in the world that you wish you would have learned so you didn't have to learn the hard way, what would that lesson be, and why?
I think confidence and perseverance, for me, I wasn't very confident in myself. I had a lot of inhibitions, and I wouldn't trust who I was to like to go out there and make mistakes and take chances. And it really took like my wife's family, my wife, to really like push me and be like, hey, you can achieve the things that you don't think you can achieve. Right. And then really just sticking to it. Like when I'm a very, like I said, I have this very obsessive mentality, and when I get into something, I just want to be the best I can be at it. And it was like, you know, there's a lot of bad that comes with it too, right? Like I'm a bit of a psychopath.
Oh yeah, definitely a psychopath.
But because of that, I mean, I've been able to achieve like all my goals. I set goals and I work towards them. And so, I've had some things kind of come in that have set me back, but I don't let it control me. You know, I just try to work hard and persevere through it.
It's good shit, man.
Yeah, it was like, I think the third or fourth week we started working together, and he started talking about guns and
it was like, dude, this is like 9 months to a year down the road.
And like all this crazy stuff, and I just looked at him and I was like, oh, okay, so you're insane. And he was like, well, no,
I try to hide it.
And I was like, you're a psychopath.
So I love to find, like, I don't like, I like to collect things. I don't like to have a huge collection, right? I like to find like experience a lot. I know. I'm an inch deep and a mile wide, right?
I know.
So I just want to experience a lot of things, but like the things I really find like worth the best, I like to just focus on those. So like guns.
Yeah. And me making fun of you.
And you making fun of me.
I love it. Yeah. What's the best way for people to connect with you guys?
Tinder for
Tinder.
And he's on Grindr,
obviously.
Grindr.
Tinder,
Plenty of Fish. Is Plenty of Fish even a thing anymore?
It's farmers only now.
Blackpeoplemeet.com.
Blackpeoplemeet.com. Judate.com.
Judate.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I would say Instagram. Either through Rhino Metals or our personal ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chill Sergeant Luke. Sand Soda Strong.
I don't have cancer, guys. It probably sounds like I have cancer.
He's just
crazy Italian.
Yeah.
It's like
he's very conceited.
I'm not conceited.
Just like, hey guys, I'm strong. It's in my name.
In my name.
Just remember that. Don't forget that.
I like the alliteration of the S's. You know what I mean? SS.
Sand Soda Strong.
Well, that sounds terrible when I said it out loud.
Yeah, a little bit. Tell me.
Well, I'm out of whiskey, so.
Ugh. Well, you guys, thank you so much, seriously, for coming on the podcast and sharing your stories. And I think we're going to be working together in the future. I'm sure our paths will definitely cross again. So I genuinely appreciate you opening your home to me, man, and letting me come out here and do this podcast with you guys and sharing your stories about mindset and how you guys got into Rhino Metals and where you guys see it going. And I think I'm stoked to see it, man, see the journey.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Sorry for Luke, by the way. I just can't do this guy anyway.
It's all good. I love him.
Really can't. Everybody does.
Later, guys.
Thank you for listening to My Backstory. Stay motivated and stay connected off the show. Follow at my_backstory_ to be a part of the journey to recovery and to see where your story goes. Or visit us online at hereismybackstory.com.